Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli, and welcome to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Welcome. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. It's been a couple of days, been trying to unwind on what was a very just busy and hectic weekend of wrestling last week. If you guys have been keeping up with all of our episodes, I posted three, not one, not two, but three uploads just this past weekend, talking Saturday night's main event, AEW All In, and of course, WWE Evolution. All of those review shows are out right now, so make sure you guys go check those out when you guys can. It is on all of our platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, as well on our YouTube channel. If you are watching this on YouTube, you guys see the banner down below. Make sure you guys check us out on our social medias. TikTok, Instagram, Ruthless_Talk is our social medias. Make sure you help out the algorithm. Make sure you smash the follow button, that like button, all the like buttons, every single button, and continue to support the platform, continue to support our lovely community. And as you can see, I am solo once again, and also for the near future. So I want to shout out my co-host, Brian Thomas, who will be back soon. Again, I will let you guys know when Brian Thomas does come back to the show. But for the foreseeable future, it is going to be me, myself, and I. And I decided to do something a little bit different, to where there will be a show to review, which is AEW Dynamite. I do want to get to some takeaways that I did have on the show, as well as a few other things that I wanted to, let's just say, in the words of CM Punk in a promo from 2011, I have some things that I want to get off my chest, right? So we're going to talk some ratings. We're going to talk Goldberg and him speaking out against Triple H and WWE, and how his promo segment, his speech, his retirement speech was cut off from Saturday night's main event after his matchup against Gunther. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Talk about Seth Rollins for a little bit as well. If you guys have seen our social medias, I spoke a little bit about it, kind of reiterate that and kind of talk about that as well. And this injury that is supposedly a work, but does the work really make sense? We're going to get to that. Some things about NXT that a lot of people are not liking, as well as for me as well. It's gone in the opposite direction, and we're going to kind of dissect as what is really going on with NXT and how they have really been dropping the ball as of late, especially with this partnership with TNA that doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. It's not really benefiting TNA. It's also really not benefiting the NXT product to a certain degree, but we'll talk about it. And of course, we got AEW Dynamite to talk about. We will go over all the takeaways, everything that happened in the show from start to finish. This was the post show to AEW All In. So where do I start, man? There's a lot of shit that we're gonna get into. But let's start off with some ratings, man. Some ratings talk as far as Monday Night Raw. It's been a hot minute since I've spoke about ratings on the show. As you guys know, I'm a big ratings guy when it comes to, certain things about spewing opinions and personal preferences. Well, when it comes to me, man, opinions, they're like assholes. We all got one, and they're usually just full of shit. So I'm all about speaking facts, right? The numbers, the metrics, and everything that kind of backs up to what I usually say as far as dissecting these shows and criticizing these shows, whether they're good or bad. So Monday Night Raw, it's no secret, and I've spoken about this before. Monday Night Raw has continued to drop in numbers and viewership ever since they started back in January. Well, that trend, ladies and gentlemen, continues to where they have gone from the start when Monday Night Raw started on Netflix back in January. They started at a 6 million, over a 5 million globally. The previous week, which was June 30th, they dropped to an all-time low. They dropped to 2.5 million. And then last week, they are moved up at least, I guess you could say, another 100 some odd thousand. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but they went from a 2.5 mil to a 2.6 million in their viewership, and that's globally. I believe USA domestic, I believe, is somewhere around the 1 million tops, maybe barely above 1 million. But that's globally, guys. This is not USA domestic. 2.5 to 2.6 million, that is globally. That's not good if we're comparing of where they started. The proof has always been in the pudding, right? When people, as far as competition and basketball games, football games, presidential speeches, when it comes to a show, right? If a show is just that, I guess you can say, captivating, if a show is that intriguing to somebody, the numbers will back it up and say, wow, man, a lot of people were really drawn to this show. People were interested. They wanted to see what happens next. And the number just does not back it up. And this is what's really concerning. The concern is that, well, number one, this is coming off of all of your PLE shows, right? This is coming off of, or heading into, I should say, since it's a week prior. This is coming into Saturday night's main event. This is coming into WWE Evolution, right? The same exact PLE that this company really didn't want to put any care and effort into it. And it got so bad to where even the female talent had to speak out and say that they were being set up for failure. So, this company continues to not just meet the talents halfway, but to meet their own fans truly halfway. Um, and it's that bad to where this number continues to drop. And it's only a matter of time to where in about maybe not even 5 years, Netflix with these numbers and how it's shaping up, not even 5 years, to where Netflix is just going to want to freaking just pull the plug. But there is, after 5 years, there is an opt-out. So even after 5 years, man, Netflix, the way that this is keeping up, man, they're gonna want to say, yeah, toodles, man. Like you're not getting the bang for our buck, if that makes any sense. So and this shouldn't be a shock, man. Everything that I say to you guys as far as the shows are not that good and they're not accomplishing anything, right? Nothing's captivating, nothing makes you want to watch the show. Well, the numbers are proving exactly that. To where people always say, if you don't like it, don't watch. Or better yet, Triple H will tell you straight to your face, right? And just say, oh, if you don't like it, then, fuck off. Then just don't watch the product, right? If you don't like it, you're not a real fan. Just go fuck off. Well, guess what, Hunter Hearst Helmsley? That's exactly what your fan base is doing. To where in droves, people are constantly moving away from the product. And keep in mind, this is now what? We are about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks, somewhere around that, to SummerSlam, right? And this is the perfect opportunity to where you got college football, you got football season coming up, to where if this is your number now in the middle of the summer, to where, I mean, let's face it, outside of, okay, maybe the MLB All-Star game, and we're going to get to that as far as, NXT later on. But outside of baseball and what else? The NBA Finals is done, right? Frickin' football season, again, is still in their off season, but it's coming up shortly. This is the perfect opportunity to, gain that certain demographic, to gain some of that viewership. And by the droves, you're just losing it, constantly losing it, because this company has, let's face it, they've sold out a long time ago. And this is not just a TKO problem. This has just been a massive WWE problem for the longest time now. This is why USA Network did not want to be a part of Monday Night Raw anymore, which is why their last-ditch effort to work with WWE is with SmackDown, right? This is why Fox, decided to kick WWE to the curb. And so on and so forth, of all of the times of certain networks just not wanting to do business with WWE anymore. And now you move to Netflix, to where the narrative is that over 700 million globally can watch the show, and now you're barely hovering above a 2.5, if even. that says it all, man. That just says it all. And I honestly could just leave it at that. To where once again, man, I constantly tell you guys how bad these shows are, how they're not accomplishing anything. And I go over these numbers, man. I mean, I can tell you this to you right now, as I have the numbers from the last several weeks. June 16th, 2.7 million. July 23rd, 2.6. July 30th, 2.5. And then just last week, on July 7th, they gained 2.6 million globally. To where the last time they were hovered above a 3 million, you have to go back to April of this year, April 28th, just a couple of months ago. And they've been nowhere near since. So that's bad, man. That's just it's bad. Um, and again, it's gonna come down to a lot of key factors, man, as far as WWE is going to have to look at themselves in the mirror. But, with all the record revenue that they're making, right? Because they've jacked up all their ticket prices, they've jacked up all the revenue they can get. So yeah, you're going to make record revenue. That should not be a flex from you or for anybody, right? The largest gate numbers in frickin' in WWE history, in our lifetime, in our history. Well, again, man, when you jack up your revenue, of course that's gonna fucking happen. And there's gonna be fans who are gonna defend it, right? It's like, oh, James, but they're still in the millions, right? Okay, well, how long are we gonna move the goalpost, man? How long is that goalpost gonna be until that number just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, to where in due time, man, on Netflix, don't be shocked in the next couple weeks. At least USA domestic, they're going to be under a 1 million. I mean, it's just a matter of time because of just how bad these shows are and how nothing is accomplishing anything as far as just, creativity, storylines, character development, nothing. But as long as they got their sponsorships and their ad revenues and all of this other stuff, man, they don't care. And as long as you're paying a ticket to go see all of these shows, they don't care. They got your money and they already won, which is why I mentioned in a previous episode, stop showing up to these shows, stop showing up to the freaking PLEs, stop buying the merchandise, because that is the only way for you to stick it to this company, by stop giving them your freaking money. And that's it. And for me, as well as watching these shows, guess what? I don't even watch these shows live anymore. I watch them the following day. I can't sit here and tell you the last time that I watched a Monday Night Raw show live. I can't even tell you. I don't even care for it, even when I work Monday evenings, to where I don't even care to flip over to Netflix and watch the show, because I'm not missing anything. I know for a fact that I'm not missing anything. I watch the show the next day, and then I thank my lucky stars that I did not waste my Monday night and my sleep to watch the show. And that's just it. So, and even with SummerSlam around the corner, that's what sucks even more. You have SummerSlam right around the corner, and this is the number that you have. This is the best opportunity to gain viewership, to gain people, is when football season is in the off season. It's approaching and it's going to be here before you know it. This is the perfect time to put your foot on the gas pedal and really start to get the ball rolling. But no. And then by the time football season does happen, they're fucked. You think people are tuning away now? Just God forbid when football season starts again, or God forbid another freaking, another sporting event comes around, right? Or freaking, some type of holiday or whatever it is, right? And I hate when people use these excuses. I freaking hate it, because I have always been under the certainty that no matter whatever game is on, presidential speech, if something is that entertaining, if something is that must see, people will stick around to tune in. And I've mentioned ratings in the past, how that is a prime example with people like The Rock and people like Roman Reigns and many other storylines from when the Judgment Day was at its peak, when the Bloodline storyline was at its peak. people were tuning in, right? In that certain quarterly hour, people were tuning in to the product, and it helped your average viewership. That's just how it works, guys. If you guys want to sit here and say, oh, the ratings don't matter, you're full of shit. You know, it's just like, oh, streaming services, this and that, when it was just cable television. Okay, we're on a streaming service. What's the excuse now? Fans are given a week to watch this show. This is the number for the entire week, and you're still losing people? So what's the excuse? There is no excuse. It's just that the show sucks that much, is that these fans are not given a reason to click over to Netflix on their Netflix accounts that they pay a monthly subscription to and watch the show. They don't give a fuck. They'd rather freaking watch freaking Love Island, even though Love Island's not on Netflix, right? Freaking Squid Games, right? Freaking whatever television series comes out, right? Whatever the fuck it is. That's what they would rather watch because it's just that much more entertaining than watching this garbage. And that's just it, man. So, all this talking got me thirsty. Anyway, so that's Monday Night Raw's rating. From the previous week, they're at a 2.6, and we'll see what this Monday Night Raw show from this week. I spoke a bit about Monday Night Raw too. Again, you see the banner down below. Posted some content as far as my thoughts on some segments from Monday Night Raw. You guys would be pretty surprised how I thought about Monday Night Raw this week, actually. So make sure you guys go check that out. Again, Ruthless_Talk is our Instagram as well as our TikTok. So that is your Monday Night Raw rating for not this week, but the previous week, which was July 7th, 2025. So let's move on, man. Let's talk a little bit about Pat McAfee, right? Pat McAfee. James, what were we here talking about Pat McAfee? Well, if you guys have realized, Pat McAfee has been nowhere to be found on commentary. That's why he has been taking a leave of absence over the last several weeks. He has stated that he is pretty much burnt out. Of course, with all these other side gigs that he does, which is his own podcast, and of course, College Game Day, right? He still has a family to provide and all of this other stuff, right? All of these other, invitations from other, I guess, sports, media, and everything else, right? And look, much love to Pat McAfee. I actually do support the guy. I think the dude is an entertaining specimen in the sports media and in the sports and entertainment industry. And he's built his brand and he's making his money, and kudos to him, right? But as far as Pat McAfee is concerned, when he first started, it was fun, right? Like, the amplification and the energy that he would bring, right? Dancing on the announce table when somebody like a Shinsuke Nakamura came out. It was fun. It was different, and it brought a different energy to the shows. But, and I'll be honest, and I know a lot of people are fans of Pat McAfee, and probably not a lot of people are going to like what I have to say. The shtick over time has gotten extremely old, to where the dude is just there for sound bites. He doesn't know much about the product, nor does he know much about the wrestlers on the roster. Michael Cole, every single week, and this is a true statement, that Michael Cole has to fill him in on all the wrestlers and the storylines and what's going on. It's because, again, Pat McAfee has all of these other side gigs in sports and media and everything else. So he's got to keep him informed and to know where he's going to, do his shtick, and he's just going to be loud and do sound bites just for the sake of it, just to create noise and amplification. And he does the freaking yeeting stuff when Jey Uso comes out. And guys, I'm sorry, it's old. It's getting to the point to where it's no longer becoming a value to the product anymore. It's just not. It's outdated. It's just it's overdone. It's overly done. And I'm sorry. And guys like Corey Graves, who has been in the doghouse for a very, very long time, has gotten his opportunity on Monday Night Raw. And I'm sorry, he just sounds better and the show feels better when he is on commentary, when he is the heel commentator. There was a part of Monday Night Raw just this week to where like Michael Cole was talking with Corey Graves about Dominic Mysterio and like, oh, it's weird. Like, why is Dominic out here with Roxanne Perez? Doesn't he think that Liv Morgan's watching or something hypothetically? And like Corey Graves said something like, Michael, just because you're on a diet doesn't mean you can't look at the menu. You know what I'm saying? It's great. It's such a heel thing to say. It was just so good. And that's what I'm screaming for, right? Again, Pat McAfee is Pat McAfee, right? He wants to bring noise, energy. He can be funny, I guess, every once in a while. But that type of shtick from Corey is what's hilarious, right? Because he's the heel commentator, and it's so douchey for him to say that, but it's so entertaining because you have Michael Cole, who's the uh, play-by-play face commentator, and then you have Corey Graves, who's playing the heelish role. I wish he would do that and amplify it 10, like times 10. And he's good at it, man. He's so good at it, bro. Like, this is a hot take, man. I'll take Corey Graves on commentary any given day of the week, twice on Sunday, over Pat McAfee right now. And it's not even freaking close. And that's my hot take, man. So, Pat McAfee, it's just like, he comes back and the dude is burnt out with all these other side gigs and other projects. And it's just, he doesn't know much about the product to begin with. And it's just, I don't know how much of this, not really experiment, but this working relationship is really going to work out anymore. When you see someone like Corey Graves, whether WWE wants to acknowledge it or not, the dude is good and he provides that extra value to the show being the heel commentator. That's just what you need. Now, if you still want to put Pat McAfee on commentary, here's my solution, right? He can't do this every week. He just can't. Pat McAfee cannot be your regular weekly commentator on Monday Night Raw anymore. He just can't be. So if you want to maybe put him on there for PLEs, right? Or maybe every other Monday Night Raw or something like that. Like, okay, that's fine. Maybe for like the big PLE events, if you want, Pat McAfee to come on board and do his sound bites to where at least it sounds more authentic in a way, because like you're not hearing it on a loop every single freaking week. Do it to where he comes onto the show for a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble, and he can do all the sound bites he fucking wants to with Corey and Michael Cole. Like, that's my solution, because with him on commentary, guys, I'm sorry, it's not benefiting or adding any more value to the product than it already has. It's just not. So that's my solution if WWE still wants to do a working relationship with Pat McAfee. And who knows when he decides to come back to WWE television and into that commentary booth. But right now, for the foreseeable future, Corey Graves is your guy. And that's just it. Whether WWE wants to acknowledge that or not, this dude adds every element to be a great heel commentator, because he does his part. The side comments that he makes, it's just so good, man. Right? As much as sometimes Corey Graves has said some things on his podcast that kind of have drove me nuts. He says a lot of stupid shit sometimes, but this dude is good at what he does, man, in that commentary booth. He just is. So that's my solution. If Pat McAfee is going to be on commentary, then bring him back for the big PLE events, right? But on a weekly basis, put Corey Graves next to Michael Cole moving forward weekly. That's just it. And then, and maybe every now and then, maybe on a Monday Night Raw, maybe. But Corey Graves should be your guy right now. He was in the doghouse in NXT. Sometimes you forget he was even on commentary in NXT because he barely say anything. And here he is, man. He's back in this role, and I hope he makes the most of it. And I hope it's everything that he wants it to be. Corey Graves, right? And that's just it. That's just it, man. So We'll see as far as Pat McAfee and any updates on him and his return. And of course, we'll talk more about it in the foreseeable future. Let's get into Goldberg, man. Goldberg, this man was very, very vocal after what transpired at Saturday night's main event last week and how his retirement speech was cut off within 30 seconds. And he had a lot to say. And as I won't bore you with all the words and details, I'm sure most of you guys have already seen video clips and articles and all of this stuff, right? But a lot of people are going to come after Goldberg probably in some of these comments because, obviously the easy thing nowadays is to clown Goldberg and to say how much he's wrong and how much he's this and how much he's that, right? And all of this stuff. And if you don't like Goldberg, that's fine. But guess what? In this scenario, it's pretty much irrelevant. If you listen to what Goldberg says, in this interview, I think he was with Pete Rosenberg. I'm forgetting the name of the show, but this is where he sound off. And, I think he came to an agreement to where, like with WWE, to where he can't expose or give too much detail of how things, I guess, went down or whatever, something like that. But he plans on spilling the beans once those 2 weeks are up. But he was not happy, and I don't freaking blame him, bro. There's people that's going to be blaming NBC for all of this, right? Oh, well, James, it's NBC's fault. Guys, it's all WWE. NBC has nothing to do with how WWE structures the show, how they program it. It's all WWE and Triple H. So you can blame NBC all you want. This is WWE and their lack of planning, and dare I say, if I were to take it a step further, it's internal sabotage. It just is. And with Triple H, and Goldberg makes comments about, oh, I'm a WCW guy, so clearly there's still that grudge with Triple H and, what WCW was back in the day. And I'll be honest with you, with how Triple H has treated people like Sting in the past, Booker T, even with Goldberg many times, it's no secret that Triple H has it for former WCW talents. It's just the truth, man. Right? When it comes to WCW and just all of their talents and the history and everything as a whole, like, history just repeats itself to where everything adds up. Like I mentioned with Sting, like I've mentioned with Booker T, with Goldberg many times in the past. It's straight up, if you don't think part of that, maybe not 100% of it, but there is no doubt in my mind that part of this is internal sabotage. Even with Seth Rollins' injury, you were given still several minutes. And not only that, you knew about Goldberg and his retirement match, and you knew the plan and how it was going to be formatted back in January. That's what Goldberg said. So all of that mixed in, and people have the nerve to give an excuse and just say, oh, it's NBC's fault. Stop. This is all in WWE. This is all Triple H. Lack of programming, lack of planning, and internal sabotage, because history repeats itself. Triple H has something against WCW talents like a Goldberg, like Booker T, and many other talents that have come and go. People like Sting in the past, right? Just like with Vince McMahon, dude, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, man. This dude, Triple H, just wants to be like his father-in-law so fucking bad, with the amount of ass that he's kissed for so many years, including being a performer. And even as a suit and tie, it's still the same fucking person. And people still find a way to defend this dude, a guy that is so fucking petty, a guy that is so narcissistic, and every which way fans will find a way to give this dude and WWE an excuse when the writing has been on the wall for God knows how long. And all of these people like Goldberg and other people that have spilled the beans about Triple H and this company, yet people still do not bat an eye. It's unbelievable. So enough of this bullshit, man, about NBC. NBC has nothing to do with how WWE structures and perform or formats their shows and how it's planned. They have nothing to do with it. This is WWE. They had till January to figure this shit out. They even had extra time because of Seth Rollins' injury, to where this was a 14-minute match, near a 14-minute match, and his speech was still cut off. So, yeah, man, it's just the excuses is what's more frustrating than the situation itself. So, however you feel about Goldberg, right? He's an asshole. He's this, he's that. He's not a good wrestler. He needs to go away. All that's fair. But you got to feel for Goldberg, man. So where a guy that is, wanting to go out on his own accord and at least give a final, I guess, a final remark to the fans and, I guess a salute to his career. And the dude's speech was cut off at 30 seconds, man. That's fucking bad. And there's just no denying it. So, and I'm just going to leave it at that, man. So again, if you want to hear more about these statements, again, it's all over, I'm sure, social media, TikTok, everywhere for you guys to check it out. But those are Goldberg's comments on Triple H and WWE for cutting off his retirement speech at the end of Saturday night's main event. Petty Paul Levesque at it once again. So, and then Seth Rollins, right? Let's get to Seth Rollins real quick, and then we'll jump into NXT, and then of course into some AEW here. Look, Seth Rollins, to where a lot of people are debating whether this injury is a work, whether he got injured during this match with LA Knight, whether he was injured prior. There's several reports. There's one report that's saying that he got injured during the match and, this is a legit injury. And another report is saying, and this is what I believe to be true, is Seth Rollins was injured prior to the show, and this, I guess, angle, this spot was a way for him to sign him off TV for a substantial amount of time, right? And that would make sense because if you go back and watch this matchup, guys, to where a lot of things just looked very staged. Like it was kind of, I guess you can say, part of the script, I guess. So here's my question, right? Because a lot of fans just want to call things out and just say, it's a work, James. It's a work. Let it play out. It's a work. Don't worry about it. But people will not sit and think to themselves, like, does this work even make sense? Because let's dissect this, right? So Seth Rollins is going to be out for a substantial amount of time, right? If this is the plan, that Seth Rollins is injured, right? There is an injury. He is injured. It's not like he's faking this injury, but he is injured. But the plan is for him to come back in, let's say, in a couple months or something along those lines, right? Like the injury is not too bad, but they're going to use this injury to sign him off for several months. And the work, supposedly, is that Seth Rollins is just going to miraculously come back and cash in the briefcase and win the championship to whoever said champion. Like, wouldn't you just do that like at any given moment? Like Naomi just did recently. So like you're going to go on this hiatus for months, just all of this to be a work is just for him to come back and just cash in his briefcase when he can just do it whenever. That's your plan. You could have just taken a 6-month vacation if that's the case. Like what's the work here? Because that's what I don't understand. If it's leading to some really big payoff, right? That people can't miss, it's must see. It's just for Seth to just come back and cash in his briefcase. I mean, okay, the cash in might be cool, but is it gonna be anything to what he already did at WrestleMania? What was it, 31 with the heist of the century from several years ago? The answer is not. Which is why not give it to somebody like LA Knight who desperately needed that briefcase, that needed that rub, a guy that has been ultra behind the fans, and he's been that way for 2 some odd years. But now we want to form Seth Rollins and this goof troop and put in Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. We won't give them a name. That's like freaking Burger King dropping a new burger or a sandwich and they don't even release the name of the sandwich. Oh, this sandwich is really good. What is it? We don't have a name yet. It's just called a sandwich. Think about it. That's how stupid it is. You may think it's silly, but I'm just saying it's pretty similar to this group not given any sort of identity or a name. You know, you still have Seth Rollins come out and pander like he's a face with his babyface theme song, and he panders to the crowd after Braun and Bronson and Heyman cut heel promos. Welcome to Monday Night Rollins, and people freaking say Rollins, and he panders to the crowd by pointing up the microphone. And it just doesn't make sense, man. This freaking team has been dead on arrival after the Monday Night Raw show, Raw After Mania. That's just the truth, man. And it's been going absolutely nowhere. Like Dominic Mysterio, he has a doctor's note, he has this injury, and then like you play it off to where like, oh, hey, I can't compete because I got a doctor's note, right? Some shit like that you can prolong for the next couple of weeks. And, AJ Styles is doing his freaking thing, right? Which I'll be honest, it is low key kind of those little backstage segments from this past Monday at least made the show more tolerable, right? Like, whether Seth tears an ACL, a PCL, an MCL, any type of L, right? The doctor would know about it, And then, like, if the doctor would just say, oh, he's cleared, and then the plan just backfires. So, I don't know, man. I hope this freaking makes sense. It's a very weird concept. All of this just for Seth Rollins to cash in his briefcase just a couple months later when he can just do that whenever is the stupidest work I've ever seen. So where, okay, it's a work, but does this work even make sense? You ate a BFT, right? You were taken out by a BFT. You were laid out and you were beaten in the middle of the ring. It's just very weird, bro. Like we're saying that it's a work, but people don't sit back and think, does this work even make any ounce of sense? Like what's the work here? Like, why would you just let yourself just eat a BFT and get beaten in the middle of the ring just to go on a hiatus and then, be absent and maybe go on a 6-month vacation? Okay, guys, I come back and cash in my briefcase. What's the work? Right? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I spent maybe a little bit too much time on that than I should have. So that is that whole situation. So, of course, you guys can check it out as well on my social medias for Ruthless_Talk. I talk it all about that as well. So check it out as well. Drop a comment of what you guys think about this whole situation as well. All right, man. Let's get into NXT. It's been a while since I've talked in anything NXT recently. NXT, man, I'll be honest, and I've said this about NXT, in certain specs over the past several months when I do mention NXT. NXT, man, has slowly become very unwatchable. I mean, that's as honest as I can put it. So where the only thing that can really, I guess, benefit the product to where you have this angle with Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace to where, let's face it, the women's division is what's carrying that entire show because of how all the maybe not star power, but just the talent, like Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker, again, Jordan Grace, you bring in, JC Jane and all these people, Zarya, Sol Ruka with her Soul Snatcher. God, that freaking finisher is beautiful. It's one of those finishers to where, like, if you don't time it perfectly, things can go off the rails, if you know what I mean. So, like, a lot of things, man, is just really off. You take that with the women's division. You had Tony D'Angelo and Stax and the Tony D'Angelo family. That's really been the storyline to where if you've watched NXT, like, that's the only thing that at least keeping me invested into the show because of just, and maybe, I'm biased because I'm the Italian, right? How you doing? But just everything, the way it's being done, right? From the turn to how everything has progressed over the last several weeks with the family and when it started, right? Going up against, I remember the segment, I mentioned this like in a post weeks ago where like the like when they were feuding with Dark State, again, that's a faction to where they just come across like as goofy. They're just a Retribution 2.0, if you guys remember Retribution. Like they were in this segment to where everybody had like a file on each member of the Dark State, and it was like an episode of The Sopranos or some shit. And it's just like, hey, this guy, hey, he's a former Division 1 college athlete at Penn State, right? This dude is smart. This dude's got brains, right? He had an offer to go, a scholarship to go to Harvard, but turned it down, right? These are not just like, and it benefited not just the story within the family, but the feud with Dark State at the time, and how it elevated all of the members of Dark State. Like, these aren't just some goons just in masks just to scream and yell and create chaos. No, these are athletes, man. These guys know what they're doing. So it painted a good picture of that said group. Nowadays, I still don't know if it has truly evolved since then, as far as within that group, to make me care more about them. For 1 week, though, it did. But it was because of the story with Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and this family, man. And you take everything else to where now WWE is inserting all of these other new shows like LFG, to where I refuse to watch. It's just a bunch of, I guess, up and coming indie wrestlers who were trying to make a WWE contract to win this reality show, and whoever, is the last person standing gets an NXT contract. But you're pulling back the curtain to see, oh, hey, make sure you sell the punch this way, right? Undertaker and Bully Ray and all those people. I refuse to watch it because I don't need to watch something as far as knowing how to throw a punch and understanding how staged it is. Like, no, I don't want to watch it. I want to make sure I want to keep the kayfabe alive, and for me to do that, I just don't watch it. So people say like, oh, don't watch it, James, if you don't like it. I don't fucking watch it. A lot of NXT, not even NXT, but these people from LFG, you have people from this other show called Evolve. I remember like watching, I think they're called Vanity Project, to where it's this tag team, and these guys look like they're 18 years old. They look like they're fresh out of their mom's basement, and here they are on the NXT show. And we wonder why freaking NXT did not pull in a good freaking rating this week. And I'll pull it up in just a second. But like, we're trying to get too cute with trying to build up all of these new up and coming stars and making their in-ring debuts. And this is it's not just the problem with NXT. This has been a problem in pro wrestling for a very, 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 very long time. We want to build wrestlers to where they're relatable to the wrestling audience, right? Once in a blue moon, right? Back in the day, it was Dusty Rhodes. Freaking maybe several years ago, it was people like Daniel Bryan, right? And all of these people, to where they connected with the crowd because, they're like, Dusty Rhodes being the blue collared guy, right? The hardworking man, and Daniel Bryan, to where like, the dude is a 5 foot freaking 7, right? Maybe weighs a buck freaking 60 or something like that, and you took something to where the crowd desperately wanted, especially, I'll use the Daniel Bryan, storyline as an example, right? To where it felt so authentic. People wanted to see this guy get a big push. And, it was clear as day that the company didn't really see much in Daniel Bryan, but the fans and how they reacted changed that. It's the same way with Kofi Mania. Maybe not as special as the Yes Movement with Daniel Bryan, but it was pretty close, But guys, things like that only come a dime a dozen. Like, you have to book it flawlessly. Everything has to be on par for you to do that. But nowadays, like, we do that with every single wrestler. To where back in the day, man, you knew when a wrestler walked into the room, you knew that they were freaking larger than life. You just knew it. But nowadays, it's like everybody needs to look the same. Everybody needs to wrestle the same. Everybody needs to talk the same, right? It's, being relatable, right? Relatable to the average wrestling fan, to where guys from Evolve and guys and gals to where on these shows, let's face it, don't have do not have the charisma, they don't have the personality, and they are coming onto this NXT as a certain focal point of this show, and the fans don't give a shit. They're fresh off of reality television, at least for LFG, right? It took the Miz years to gain respect coming out of what was the real world, right? And I'm sure still a lot of people to this day still feel a certain type of way about the Miz, but the Miz over time had to respect that, or he had to gain respect from that. And nowadays, like, guys like the Miz who came from that certain environment are now coming onto these shows, and they're winning matches in their tight trunks and their build. They're 150, 160 pounds soaking wet. Again, I mentioned these guys from Evolve. They look like they came fresh out of their freaking mom's basement. Like they look like young 18-year-old kids. Like, that's what they look like. I'm thinking that they're freaking jobbers and they're going to be put over like freaking Papa Shango or freaking a freaking Batista or somebody. I don't fucking know. Like, it's just like we gotta ease with the relatability in pro wrestling instead of booking the shows and portraying these characters as larger than life specimens, right? Like the look, like, I mean, because newsflash, right? There's a lot of things in pro wrestling that make a pro wrestler and a show and a feud special. But as far as the pro wrestler, man, yes, you have to know the fundamentals of wrestling. You have to be a good wrestler nowadays. That's just now the era that we live in now. And that's fine. But you still have to have every single box checked off. These guys and gals are fresh off of a reality show, and they're already given a contract, and they're already on the show. And you book everybody the same exact way, the same exact formula, the same exact the same exact script, and nobody stands out. Nobody. Trick Williams, the stars that you do have, they're just overstating their welcome. This partnership with TNA is the marriage is over. Like the honeymoon phase with TNA and NXT. Oh, how cool this could be. It's over. It's done. Like, Trick Williams is a champion in TNA, and this dude as a babyface was white hot, and now he turns heel, and this dude is just overstating his welcome now, to where nobody gives a shit about a Trick Williams anymore. This is what they've done with so many talents in NXT, to where you take guys who are clearly not ready, or people are just more superior than others. That's just what it is. And those people who are more superior, they stay in NXT, but the guys and gals that, I guess NXT doesn't need to provide, I will just send you to the main roster. There's too many people that are portrayed to look like the average wrestling fan or the average person, right? Oh, I can relate to that person because he looks like me. What about looking at somebody as larger than life, right? Looking at somebody and you can't look away, like the Stone Colds, the Rocks, the Kevin Nash, the Razor Ramones, the Batistas, the Undertakers, the Shawn Michaels, the Roddy Pipers, the Andre the Giants. I fucking can go on, bro. I can go on. And that's the problem with NXT. And because of that, I'm not just saying it's affecting everything, but it's part of it. It's damn well part of it. And the ratings are taking a hit because of it. TNA continues to not really benefit anything from this partnership, to where you have NXT talents winning championships on their own brand, and it's still not benefiting their product, to where it's clearly continuing to be a one-sided relationship with, like, at some point, like, TNA's got to put their foot down and say, like, dude, enough. And who knows with Slamovich and JC Jane, maybe Slamovich to where this is where they keep an even keel. Slamovich from TNA will be the NXT Women's Champion, while Trick Williams is freaking the champion for TNA and NXT, right? Like, so I don't know, man. It's the honeymoon phase is over. Let's just say that the honeymoon phase is over. There's a lot of issues with NXT, and what you're seeing with AEW and how well their product has been from just a couple of years ago, AEW was on the decline. A lot of people were tuning away, and they're still underneath the radar. Don't get me wrong, but NXT, man, they were at a point to where they were providing really good television, right? And we can go back to Black and Gold and all these eras, right? But recently, over like a year ago, 2 years ago, they were in a good spot. But now, like, this show is just unwatchable. Outside of Stax and Tony D and maybe potentially what Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace are going to do, there's nothing on this show that's watchable. Nothing. Something's got to give, man, with NXT. There's just a lot of holes that I see, and they got to clean it up, man. They got to clean it up, sooner rather than later, man. It's guys like Trick Williams who continue to sit down there in NXT. That's not benefiting him at all. If he was ever going to debut, he should have done it by now. To where this dude was white hot, man, in NXT, and now this dude, like, nobody cares. Like, I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, with him as a heel and with Joe, I don't care. I just don't. You got Dark State and all this. I mean, you got Ricky Saints and Ethan Page who are great talents. But I mean, even Great American Bash, I was able to go back and watch that show. It was just, I'm sorry, I can't say that there was more good than there was bad. I can't. And that's just it, man. So I've wasted too much time that I should have on NXT, but it's been a minute since I've spoken about NXT, so I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on that. So stay tuned, of course, for more NXT talk in the near future. All right, let's get to our final topic, man. Let's get into some AEW Dynamites. Let's see what AEW had in store for their post-show for AEW All In. So now I'll be honest, there were a few segments and matches that I did catch, and there were a few things that I wasn't able to catch in the show. So I wanted to be fair about that. I was not able to watch the show in full, but I do have all of the results in front of me, and we will dissect this show one way or the other. So some takeaways, man, from this show. Of course, they were live in Chicago, Illinois, and they're going to be in Chicago for the next several weeks, I believe, actually. But the show kicks off with Hangman, cuts a really good, genuine promo, now being the newly crowned champion and thanking the crowd and ushering in a new era in the company, supposedly. He's thanking people like Swerve Strickland for the assist, right? And after everything that they've been through, just a good promo, man, from Hangman Adam Page. And me and Brian have said it about Hangman. They've tried to put the rocket on this dude a lot, and this was at least the final straw for you to do that. So far, man, Tony Khan has not missed with this opportunity, and hopefully with a feud with MJF, now that MJF just won the Casino Gauntlet, and now he's got a world championship opportunity. It's a lot of good things, man, that you can do with Hangman Adam Page as champion, and I'm really looking forward to see what they have to offer. But a really good promo from Hangman. The crowd was heavily behind him with cowboy shit chants. Just really good stuff. Just taking it all in, I guess. Just thanking everybody from, mentioning people like, the Jay Whites, and thank you, Adam Copeland. Thank you to the Ops, right? Just thank you to everybody that had his back, going up against, people like Moxley and the Death Rider. So, and this one was fun. Guys, this is hilarious. And I said this in the AEW review for All In. I was like, man, you got to capitalize on the Bucks and their now new role, losing their EVP status. And it happened as soon as they arrived to the show. because they lost the tag match to Swerve and Ospreay, they're no longer EVP. So, and they used to show up in a freaking however much that freaking limousine cost, right? Thousands, millions of dollars. And now they show up in an Uber. They show up in an Uber. Like, they're just like regular, good old independent contractors, good old talents, right? It was so good. It was just so good. I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, thank you. Not like the broke Corbin shtick, but in this sort of way. It was good, man. It was just so good. It was so freaking good. That got a kick out of me, man. It's those types of segments to where it's just so effective because it's so memorable and it was entertaining, like the Bucks and how they were playing it off, right? They didn't want to be in front of the camera, like, hey, back up. Like, we don't need a camera on our face, right? We're just trying to get our luggage out of this Uber car. It was just great. So I just want to mention that. So then I believe we go into our first matchup of the night. This was Kyle Fletcher. He wins his match against Dorada. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. So Fletcher goes for the W, and that's pretty much it. So, I mean, listen, I know a lot of people are high on Kyle Fletcher. I still need to see more from the dude. When he comes off, or I see him on my television screen, I still need to see more. I know he had the feud with Ospreay and he did very well, but there's still more to tap into before I could say this guy is the real deal. Like, this dude is going to be the next big thing in this company. I'm just not there yet. I know he's a good wrestler, but I need to see other avenues of this dude for me to care about him. And that's just it. That's as easy as I can put it. So, and then we move on. MJF cuts a really good promo. This was from after All In Texas. He's like, I'm so glad, Hangman, that it was you winning the world championship. Dictator John, it would have been too easy. If you want to be the main character, so be it. I'll be the bad guy. But guess what? Nice guys finish last. And then MVP joining in. It was just a good visual. He didn't even need a backstage interviewer, just a regular promo from after the show was off the air. I thought it was well done, man. And MJF is so good. And I'm still interested to see what things with the Hurt Syndicate do. And we'll see whether that's, maybe they're going to try and turn MJF face once again. Maybe they're going to try to rectify that and the Hurt Syndicate turns on MJF. We'll see. But we'll soon find out. We then go into an all-star 8-man tag. The highlight again for me was the Bucks and their entrance. They do their signature pose and there's no fucking pyro. And then somebody from production is messing with them with the LED boards and showing them arriving to the arena. Like, they have no say because they've pushed buttons. They've pissed a lot of people off, including Justin Roberts in the way that he introduced the Bucks. Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. Hey, how's it going? It was just great, man. And then the matchup itself again was the match, man. It was a 8-man tag, and this is where part of the show where I was kind of just lost. I'm like, all right, it's just like an 8-man tag, calling it an all-star 8-man tag. I'm just like, okay. The Don Callis family and the Bucks beats. It's Jet Speed, Brody King, and Bandito. I'm like, all right, the beginning part, the entranceway, that was great. And this was a match just for the sake of it. I guess, you need some balance outside of all the storytelling and everything else from the first hour. So yeah, cool 8-man tag match, I guess. But then we get into Edge Adam Copeland, to where he talks about Christian Cage and how he didn't come back for Christian Cage, but he came back to get his revenge on FTR. And that's when Stokely Hathaway comes out, who's their new manager, talking about how if he lays his hands on FTR, he will be fired, or something along those lines, I believe. I can't lay my hands on FTR, but you didn't say anything about you, Stokely. And, freaking by the end of the segment, Stokely gets laid out by a spear, and that was pretty much the segment. So, but yeah, that was the segment. So again, I like where this is heading. I'm actually very interested with this because the end goal is probably going to be FTR and Edge and Christian, or Cope and Christian, whatever the fuck you want to call them, to where FTR, they're going to continue to gain the upper hand on Adam Copeland Edge, and then Christian is going to play this slow burn to where they're going to reunite once again and they're going to have this tag match. So that's where they're going with it. And I'm telling you, man, how you ended All In to where Cope kind of plays a little bit of mind games, like, hey, like instead of when Christian told Cope to go fuck yourself, it's like, hey, go find yourself. So that type of storytelling, if you can progress that, and if you want to slow burn it, if you do it right, then this has the potential, man, to be really, really good. FTR is still arguably the best tag team in all of pro wrestling. You add Cope, Edge, Adam Copeland, and Christian Cage, guys that, yes, are well past their prime. That's no secret, but they can still fucking go and they can put on a damn good performance and a damn good feud if it's done properly. You can slow burn this, tell it right, and it's sitting in your lap. It's FTR, it's Cope and Edge, or Cope and Edge, Cope and Christian, Edge and Christian. It's sitting in your lap, man. There's a lot of good things you can do. So Stokely taking or doing the deed with the spear, and that's how we're gonna prolong this. And Stokely, maybe comes in with a neck brace or some shit, or some type of maybe crutches, to sell his wounds. So I think that would be funny. Still not yet used to Stokely being the manager with FTR. Maybe now that I'm going to see more of FTR because of this feud with Cope and with Christian, hopefully this future tag match, it'll give me a different perspective with Stokely aligning himself with FTR. Because with Tully Blanchard, that just felt right. With Stokely, I'm like, I don't know. So hopefully maybe seeing more of them together will give me a different perspective on things. You had a fatal 4-way to where whoever wins $100,000, I guess, and it was I mispronounce her name, the Spider Lady, whatever the fuck you want to call her. Again, I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm just not going to say anything. But you had Willow Nightingale, you had I believe Chris Statlander, I believe, was in this match as well. And a few names as well. Queen Emanata, and yeah, Chris Statlander was also in this match too. And Sky Blue and Julia Hart, they come out to, again, I'm mispronouncing her. I apologize, guys. I apologize. Like, I don't want to say this woman's name wrong, so I'm not even going to say anything. But it seems like a new faction is now formed with Julia, Sky Blue, and this new person from, New Japan that's coming onto the scene. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm not a fan of just random fatal 4-ways to just win, I guess, money now. And then there's ways to where we can give people title opportunities. I mean, take it or leave it. We'll see what this new little group has in store. But other than that, it was a fatal 4-way. And I'm just like, again, just take it or leave it. As we move on, I believe this is Toni Storm. Yes, Toni Storm cutting a damn good promo. Toni Storm, like, she's on the she was on, like, they were in Chicago and they were in a smaller venue. She was in one of the little, like, I guess, what do you call it? It's one of those podium stages, right? Or whatever. It just fit Toni Storm too. So I like that, or at least like the visual of it. So, in retrospect, Toni Storm thanks Mercedes for a match. And if she ever wants to have another match, all she's got to do is ask. He's like, I'm always here. Again, in her shtick, in her realm. I don't have the freaking quote. That pisses me off anyway, because it was so good. And I just watched it too, not too long ago. And I'm already drawing a blank, but my apologies. But, so then Athena, shows up on the Titantron, and she's cutting her promo. Athena, man, was on it. this was a damn good promo. ROH, to where she's really had to grind. She's really had to make a name for herself. And she cut a damn good promo. Her cadence, the way she changed her tone and her pitch, to where she was amplified, then she got like quiet and all smiles, and then she gets serious again. This was damn near Athena's best promo, dare I say, ever. Like, seriously, I mean, it's so refreshing for this woman to be on AEW Dynamite TV, like on your flagship show, and here it is, and it just feels right. And you can tell this woman has been putting in work. We know what she can do in that ring, but that promo, man, was damn near her best promo that I have ever seen her cut, and that includes her days in WWE. To where, again, she's had to make a name for herself. She's had to reinvent herself. You can feel the confidence oozing out of her. She's in her fucking element, man. I really cannot wait to see more of what this woman has in store. I'm so happy for her, because if you guys remember, this woman was damn near like she got herself injured because of freaking chasing around a 24/7 championship, like, and all the stupid shit that Vince and Triple H and executive suits and ties would make this woman do. And here she is several years later, and she is now in her element, and it's just so good to see. It really, really is. To where the same with Toni Storm. Toni Storm, and she was getting a pie thrown in her face by Charlotte Flair. Do you guys remember that? And here she is, bro. She has the best gimmick, and almost arguably the best gimmick in pro wrestling. So having these two go at it, it just puts a smile to your face, to where their grind over in WWE to now make a bigger name for themselves outside of the company. It's awesome. It really truly is. But Athena, man, was on it. Toni Storm is always on it. I would have loved to see them go at it for another 5 minutes. I was just entertained by it. Tony's great, Athena's great, and this was a damn good segment. Really good segment. No physicality, just words, kind of a little introduction. And yeah, we'll see where this thing goes moving forward. So Okada, I think, wins like some squash match. This match wasn't very long. And then Swerve comes out. They both call each other a bitch, and that was that's all I can really make of it. I'm guessing this is teasing a match between the two, I guess, to where it's for that new unified championship for Okada and Swerve. Can be a lot of fun, but I don't know, the way that it first started off, that first little face off, that we could have done a little bit better. It's just like, Okada said bitch, and then frickin' Swerve would call him a bitch, and I'm just like, okay. Like, that's it. So I don't know. It was very, very, very weird, very interesting. If this is how you want to get us to a Swerve and Okada match, leave me out of it. But who knows? Again, I don't want to, freaking go crazy and say, oh, okay, this is already stupid. I'll give it a chance. So we'll soon find out. And then main event was Hangman, Mark Briscoe, Powerhouse Hobbs versus the Death Riders, in a, I believe this was a 8-man tag or a 6-man tag. I believe a 6-man tag to end the show. Hangman, Mark, and Powerhouse Hobbs win the matchup. Hangman counters with a jackknife roll-up over Claudio to win this match. Jon Moxley is just so heavily distracted by Darby to where Hangman hits him with a buckshot lariat. The Death Riders clear the ring, which allows Paige and his pals to celebrate as Dynamite goes off the air. So again, a way we could have ended the show a lot better. So I mean, clearly you're gonna see Darby and Moxley in some type of feud. I mean, Darby made that clear in his little video when he climbed Mount Everest. He's like, I'm gonna take everything away from Mox. Things of that nature, I guess. So it's gonna be Mox and Darby in the near future. Which I have no problem with. I mean, you can make me care and make me captivate if it's done right. But for Moxley just to be that distracted by Darby Allin, I don't know. It was kind of weird. and very just anticlimactic in a way. Or maybe not anticlimactic, that's the wrong word. Very underwhelming, I guess. I don't know. It was just, I'm not a fan, man, of just, you know, the heels trying to beat down the faces, and then the distraction is just Darby watching from afar, and that's enough to distract Moxley, and the faces gain the upper hand. We can do better. We can do better. Overall, man, this show, I thought, again, there was a lot more good than bad. However, it's a shame that the ratings did not show it this week. As the rating came out earlier today, I believe the number is 588,000. So I don't know if this has anything to do with the fact that wrestling fans were just burnt out from this week, from so much wrestling. And again, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I don't make that excuse for AEW. It's the way that I don't make an excuse about it for WWE. So here's what my take is for AEW, and we'll kind of wrap up the show here. AEW does have a lot of good things that they have to offer for their product. They really do. With Tony, with the Young Bucks right now, and with Hangman as your champion, Swerve and Okada can be good if you book it properly. FTR and Cope. So there's a lot of good things right now that you want to watch the following week, right? And you have your people over on Max as well. I get it. But let's face it, if you look at the numbers on Max, they're only gaining what? 30, 40, some odd thousand. So if you combine this number this week, that's maybe a little over 600 some odd thousand. People will claim that, oh, yeah, AEW is pulling in 1 million. No, they're not. No, they're not. What I believe is always kind of, I guess, the downfall for AEW. Of course, people will probably say, oh, this show is bad, this show sucked, this and that. I'm not going to say that if I'm being fully 100% honest. The main problem that I see with AEW is really how they structure their shows, because from the start of the night, I believe their weekly number on or their quarterly number, I should say. So according to WrestleNomics, Dynamite started the show with a 747K, and ended the show with 536. So that averaged out to a 588,000. So again, man, it's just things like the 6-man tag and the 8-man tag. It's just, it's things that kind of I guess, bring the amplification down. And I get it. You need matches like that to balance out the show and have a lot of variety. But to do a 6-man tag to end the show, and rehashing the Death Riders and Moxley, I would have done something different, to where if your goal is to get to Hangman and MJF, you start that right from the jump, right? If your goal is to start Mox and Darby Allin, you start off with something big right then and there. And I really believe it's because of these 8-man and 6-man tag matches that this company provides, that's just not accomplishing anything. It's just matches just for the sake of matches. And I get it. You need balance. You need wrestling on top of the stories that you're telling throughout the show. But even if you are having a match, if nothing is benefiting after the match, when everything is over and done with, what is the purpose of it? The answer is nothing. There is no purpose. So that is the only blunder that I see with AEW, with how things are sometimes structured, and some matches that don't really accomplish much. There's still that inconsistency, but there is a lot of stuff, man, in this company that can really, really benefit this company and what they have to offer, with Tony, with Swerve, with Cope, FTR, Hangman, MJF, and all of these people. The product, man, has been substantially the best in pro wrestling as of late. That includes anything that WWE has had to offer over the past several months, and it's not even close. So it is a shame that the numbers still don't really back it up. But I can't say that I'm shocked, because there are still those inconsistencies, like I mentioned, that do bring that number down. But we'll see. We shall see as far as where AEW Dynamite goes. I do think that they missed an opportunity on a lot of things to really jumpstart some feuds like Mox and Darby, and with Hangman and MJF. I really think they missed the ball with that. That could have maybe helped that number tremendously. But we'll see, man. I really want to see this company succeed. When AEW succeeds, man, it's best for the rest of the pro wrestling industry. Because pro wrestling is not just WWE, man. I know we want to believe that because all we know is just WWE, but it's companies like AEW that are now finding their footing, and they now have a lot to offer. And the more that they succeed, the more it's going to benefit us, the fans. And hopefully AEW continues to capitalize. They continue to get better. They continue to improve their strides. And I'm rooting for them, man. I'm rooting for Tony Khan. I'm rooting for this company. And all I want, man, as a pro wrestling fan is just bring the best out of one another. You know, have fun. Put in the max effort. You know, actually give a shit about what you're doing. And that's all I ask for, man. That's all that I ask for. And that is going to do it, y'all, for today's episode. We covered a lot in this show. Thought I'd do something different outside of just normal, regular reviews. You will get a SmackDown review this week. I just don't know when yet, or this weekend, I should say. There will be a Sports Corner edition that I will be recording tomorrow morning. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that as well. I'm going to be talking baseball, football, and basketball. It's been a minute since I've done, or me and Brian have done sports, so I'll be doing a Sports Corner show solo. So stay tuned for that and much more content to come. As always, you see the banner down below. Make sure you guys check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That is where all of our platforms are on if you want to check out our podcast, as well as our social media, both Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Stay tuned for our SmackDown review this week. We got Monday Night Raw the following week. We got only a couple more weeks left till SummerSlam. There will be a SummerSlam roundtable. That is right. That episode will be recorded as of July 25th. I believe that is the date, if I am not mistaken, off the top of my head of when I had that episode scheduled out. So it will be the week prior, of course, to SummerSlam. So make sure you guys stay tuned for when that roundtable drops. And of course, stay tuned for more pro wrestling and sports content to come. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli, and I am signing off, saying salute, peace out, and take care, everybody. Toodles!